I'm so excited that today on our 260 journey, we begin a journey through the Gospel of John. This is the most unique gospel because it doesn't start out like any of the other three gospels. It brings you to the beginning, but listen, it's the real beginning. Listen to its opening verse. John 1:1 says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." That sounds really a lot like Genesis 1:1 at creation, when the Bible says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." Here's what's even crazier. Listen to this. The "in the beginning" of John is before the in the beginning of Genesis. What does that mean? This puts Jesus in a unique category as the only person who lived before he was even born. As one theologian said, Jesus is the invisible God and God is the visible Jesus. And that visible Jesus is about to embark on a 3-year ministry that will change the planet forever. Napoleon said it with greatest clarity. He says, "I know men and I tell you that Jesus Christ is not a man." Superficial minds see a resemblance between Christ and the founders of empires and the gods of other religions. That resemblance, Napoleon said, does not exist. There is between Christianity and other religions the distance of infinity. Thank you, Napoleon. Let's start this journey through John by reading verses 37 through 39 of chapter 1 and see one of the most amazing venues Jesus ever taught him. Verse 37, the 2 disciples heard him speak and they followed Jesus. Let me just stop there. It's good to stop here and take note that the him in this verse is John the Baptist. We would think it would have been John spoke and they followed John, but this is epic. They heard him, John the Baptist, speak and followed Jesus. John, I'm just telling you, you rock because you challenge me. The challenge and the proof of any true minister and ministry is that people hear us speak and they follow Jesus. Not us, not our church, not our denomination, but Jesus. That's why distinctives about denominations can be quite bogus. Distinctives about what day we worship on, what we call Jesus, our water baptism formula, our theology about the gifts of the Spirit. It's so anti-New Testament, anti-John chapter 1. They make the organization distinct and not Jesus distinct. Can people hear me speak, I'll ask myself, and not follow my church or my denomination? Can people hear an Assembly of God pastor speak and not follow Pentecostalism? A Baptist preacher preach and not follow Calvinism? Or even a Catholic priest speak and not follow Catholicism? This is a challenge to 21st century preaching. Thank you, John the Baptist, for modeling this. They hear you speak, but follow Jesus. But here's where it gets good. Listen, this is Jesus' first 10 a.m. service. Jesus' first a 10 a.m. service unlike any other in history. It's an unexpected place, but the best place. John 1:38. And Jesus turned and saw them following and said, "What do you seek?" And they said, "Rabbi, where are you staying?" And he said to them, "Come and you will see." So they came to where he was staying and they stayed with him that day, and it was about the 10th hour. They asked Jesus, "Where are you staying? Where is your home?" And Jesus responds, Come to my home." And they came. And they had the first home group, the first Christian 10 a.m. service would take place where Jesus is living. There is something about teaching and learning in a home like none other. They came that day to where Jesus was staying and had no idea how that 10 a.m. service would impact there forever. The home of Jesus. Wow. It's one thing to learn from a pulpit and from a pew. It's a whole nother level to learn from a classroom and a lecture. But the playing field changes when you learn in a home, and it beats all the other venues. Jesus' first place of teaching wasn't the synagogue, it was his home. When they asked him, "Where are you staying?" Jesus said, "Come and you will see." When the home is involved, you're inviting people up close to see if what you have is real. Anyone can put on a show on a Sunday for an hour and a half. But when you have a whiteboard and a pulpit, you're inviting them into your academic life and knowledge. But the home is different. I think from the get-go, Jesus is saying this relationship is not for the weekends, but it's a relationship for every day. One of my favorite preachers from the past, G. Campbell Morgan, said it like this: if you cannot be a Christian where you are, you cannot be a Christian anywhere. It's not place, but it's grace. And the home needs to be the first place we are a Christian and not simply in the four walls of a church. Home means to these disciples that they're going to see Christianity worked out. They're going to see vulnerability. They're going to see things up close. They're going to see life, not words. David has a word for all of us in Psalm 101, verse 2. This is the message. I love this passage. Listen to this. David says, I'm doing the very best I can, and I'm doing it at home where it counts. The disciples could hear a sermon on the mount. That's good. But when it's a sermon in the home, that's epic. Sermon in the home trumps Sermon on the Mount in my books. Thanks for joining the 260 Journey.